2 years ago, I wore a red dress that destroyed my life. Someone was watching me the entire time. I just didn't know it yet. But here's the thing about destruction. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock on your door and ask permission. It slips into your world disguised as opportunity, as romance, as the one moment you finally stop being invisible. 3 years before that dress, I'd perfected the art of disappearing. My name is Doris Hickman, and for 36 months I was a ghost. The kind of assistant who knew when to enter a room and when to vanish. Who could read Kong Min's mood from the way he signed documents. Who understood that Sterling Industries' gleaming corporate facade hid something far more dangerous underneath. Everyone pretended not to know the truth. I pretended better than most. Kong Min Sterling ran the most feared mafia operation on the West Coast from behind a mahogany desk and designer suits. His business associates arrived at midnight. His meetings required NDAs that could end careers. His enemies had a habit of disappearing. And me, I brought him coffee, scheduled his appointments, filed his papers, made myself so small, so quiet, so useful that no one looked twice. Until the morning, everything changed. December sunlight cut through the 45th floor windows like broken glass. I balanced 3 coffees and a stack of briefs, my practiced efficiency carrying me toward Kong Min's office. His door sat slightly ajar, voices drifting through the gap. I should have knocked. Should have announced myself. Should have done anything except stand there and listen to them discuss me like I was furniture. Kong Min needs someone for the Christmas gathering. His mother's voice could freeze blood. Someone trustworthy who won't embarrass him. What about the assistant? A man's voice. Marcus, probably. That girl who's always hovering. Doris. A pause. Then the words that cracked something open inside my chest. She's perfect. She's practically invisible anyway. Invisible. 3 years. 1,095 days of loyalty, of discretion, of silent devotion to a man who barely knew my favorite color. And this was how they saw me. As nothing. As no one. As the woman who could stand in a room and leave no trace she'd ever been there. The coffees trembled in my hands. One of them was Kong Min's. Black with 1 sugar, the way he'd mentioned once in passing 2 years ago. I'd remembered. I always remembered everything about him. But he couldn't even remember I existed. Bring her Saturday, his mother concluded. Make sure she wears something appropriate. Nothing too flashy. We want her to blend in. Of course. Because that's what I did. I blended. I disappeared. I made everyone else comfortable while slowly erasing myself. Something inside me made a decision before my brain caught up. I knocked. 3 sharp raps that announced I'd heard nothing, knew nothing, felt nothing. The voices stopped. Come in, Kong Min called. I entered like I always did. Efficient smile, steady hands, eyes that barely met his. But this time, when I set his coffee down, I felt different. Heavier. Like I'd been carrying something for 3 years and only just now realized the weight of it. His mother and Marcus left without acknowledging me. Why would they? I was invisible. But then Kong Min did something he'd never done before. He looked at me. Really looked. Like he was seeing me for the first time and realizing he'd been blind. You heard. Not a question. A statement. His voice carried something I couldn't identify. Some of it. I kept my tone neutral, professional. The mask I'd worn for 3 years. The Christmas gathering. Kong Min stood, moving to the floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the empire he'd built. Snow had started falling, rare for our city, dusting everything in white, covering the dirt underneath. My family's annual Christmas party is Saturday. He spoke to his reflection in the glass. It's not optional. Everyone who matters attends. And I need. He stopped. His jaw clenched. Whatever he was about to say, it was costing him something. I need you there. For words. They shouldn't have had the power to shake my entire world. But they did. Sir, I'm just your assistant. Surely there's someone more suitable. You're not just anything. He spun to face me, and the intensity in his storm gray eyes stole my breath. You're the only person in my life who doesn't want something from me. Everyone else, my family, my associates, the women my mother parades through my office, they all want power, money, access. You've never asked for a damn thing. You just show up. Every day, with my coffee exactly how I like it, and my schedule organized and my life running smoothly. You make everything easier. My heart hammered against my ribs. This couldn't be happening. Kong Min Sterling didn't see me. He looked through me. That was the arrangement. That was safe. What would you need me to do? My voice came out smaller than I intended. He crossed the space between us in 3 strides. Suddenly he was close enough that I could see the faint scar above his eyebrow, smell cedar and expensive whiskey, feel the heat radiating from him. Be there. By my side. His voice dropped low, intimate. As my date. The world stopped spinning. Your date, I repeated, certain I'd misheard. If you're going as my date, you should stop calling me sir. Something almost vulnerable flickered across his expression. My name is Kong Min. I'd like to hear you say it. 3 years. In 3 years, I'd never used his first name. Never crossed that line. Kong Min, I whispered. The way his eyes darkened made my entire body flush with heat. For a moment, neither of us moved. Neither of us breathed. The air between us felt charged, dangerous, like one wrong word could shatter whatever this was becoming. Then his phone rang, shattering the moment. He glanced at it, jaw tightening. I have to take this. But his eyes stayed locked on mine. Saturday, 7 p.m. I'll send a car. And Doris. Yes. We're something that makes you feel powerful. Not invisible. Never invisible again. I left his office in a daze, barely remembering the elevator ride down or the walk to my apartment. My phone buzzed before I'd even unlocked my door. A notification. A payment had been sent to my account with a note. For Saturday. No arguments. KM. I stared at the amount. Enough to buy 10 dresses. 20. Enough to transform completely. My hands shook as I called Jasmine. Emergency, I said when she answered. I need you. Now. 30 minutes later, she burst through my door with an armful of garment bags, eyes wild with excitement. Okay, spill. Why did your billionaire boss just Venmo you enough money to buy a car? He asked me to be his date to his family Christmas party. Jasmine's jaw dropped. His date? Doris Marie Hickman, have you been holding out on me? It's not like that. It's exactly like that. She dumped the garment bags on my couch. And we're going to make sure when he sees you, he forgets his own name. Hold on. Before Doris puts on that red dress, I need to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Comment your city, your country, your bedroom at 3 a.m., wherever you are right now. And tell me what time it is where you're watching. Because I have a feeling you know exactly what it feels like to be invisible. To be the person who shows up every day, who remembers how they take their coffee, who notices everything about them while they look right through you. What are you doing right now? Lying in bed thinking about someone? Procrastinating on work because you can't stop watching? Drop a comment, because Doris is about to stop being invisible. And once you put on that red dress, once you let yourself be seen, there's no going back. Are you ready for what happens next? 3 dresses later, Jasmine held up the one that made Doris's breath catch. Red, deep crimson that seemed to drink in the light. Silk that would move like water against skin. Absolutely not. Doris backed away from it. That's too much. Too visible? Jasmine arched an eyebrow. Isn't that the entire point? The dress hung between them like a challenge. For 3 years, Doris had worn beige, gray, black. Colors that helped her blend into walls and disappear into corners. This dress screamed, look at me. This dress demanded attention. Try it on, Jasmine urged. Just try it. Doris's hands trembled as she took the hanger. In her bedroom, she slipped out of her practical work clothes and into the silk. It slid over her curves like it had been designed specifically for her body, which, knowing Kong Min's attention to detail, it probably had been. She looked at herself in the mirror. A stranger stared back. Elegant shoulders. Defined waist. The dress hugged every curve she'd spent 3 years hiding under loose blazers and modest skirts. Her dark skin glowed against the crimson fabric. Holy hell! Jasmine breathed from the doorway. You look like you could destroy empires. I look ridiculous. You look powerful. There's a difference. Jasmine moved closer, studying Doris's reflection with a professional eye. Now let me do your hair and makeup, and we'll really give Kong Min something to lose his mind over. 2 hours later, Doris barely recognized herself. Her natural curls had been styled into soft waves that cascaded over one shoulder. Jasmine had done something magical with highlighter and contour that made her cheekbones look carved from stone. Deep red lipstick matched the dress perfectly. I can't believe I'm doing this, Doris whispered. Believe it. Jasmine squeezed her shoulders. You've spent 3 years being invisible. Tomorrow night, you get to be unforgettable. After Jasmine left, Doris couldn't sleep. She kept staring at the dress hanging on her closet door, illuminated by streetlight filtering through her window. Her phone buzzed at 2 a.m. Can't sleep either. Kong Min. He'd never texted her personal phone before. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What did you say to your Mafia boss at 2 a.m. when he'd asked you to be his date? Nervous? She finally typed. Terrified came his instant reply. That admission cracked something open in her chest. The untouchable Kong Min, feared across the criminal underworld, was terrified. Why? She sent back. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Because I'm about to introduce you to my family. And they destroy everything I care about. Doris stared at those words for a long time. Everything I care about. Did that include her? After 3 years of being invisible, had she somehow become someone he cared about? Then why bring me? Because I'm tired of hiding. Another pause. And because when I look at you, I forget to be afraid. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. She didn't know how to respond to that. Didn't know what it meant or what he wanted from her. Finally, she typed. I won't let you down. I know, he sent. That's why I chose you. Get some sleep, Doris. Tomorrow changes everything. But sleep didn't come. She lay in bed, watching her ceiling fan spin, trying to understand how her carefully controlled life had spiraled into this. Tomorrow she would walk into the Sterling estate, the real seat of Kong Min's power, as his date. Tomorrow she would meet his family, the other crime families, the people who pulled strings in the shadows. Tomorrow she would stop being invisible. Her phone buzzed again at 6 a.m. Driver will pick you up at 7 p.m. Wear the red dress. And Doris? Thank you for saying yes. Saturday crawled by in slow motion. Doris tried to distract herself with cleaning her apartment, meal prepping for the week, anything to keep her hands busy and her mind from spiraling. But every time she passed her bedroom, she saw that red dress hanging there like a promise. Or maybe a threat. At 6 p.m., she started getting ready. The dress slid on easier this time, like it recognized her body. She'd practiced Jasmine's makeup techniques, her hands steadier than she expected. When she looked in the mirror, that powerful stranger gazed back at her. Her phone lit up at 6:47. Driver is downstairs. Take your time. I'll wait. Doris grabbed her clutch, a simple black one that Jasmine had insisted was elegant enough for Mafia royalty, and headed for the door. Her hands shook as she locked her apartment. This was it. No turning back. The elevator ride down felt like descending into another world. With each floor that passed, she shed another layer of invisible Doris. By the time she reached the lobby, she was someone else entirely. The doorman's eyes widened when he saw her. Miss Hickman, you look wow. Thanks, Gary. She smiled, surprised by how steady her voice sounded. Outside, snow fell in thick flakes, dusting the city in white. A sleek black car idled at the curb, engine purring like a predator. The driver stepped out, opening the back door. Doris took a breath, stepped forward, and then she saw him. Kong Min stood beside the car, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her annual salary, tailored so perfectly it looked painted on. But it was his face that stopped her heart. He'd gone completely still, the kind of stillness that meant his entire world had just tilted on its axis. Doris, he breathed. Just her name. But the way he said it, like a prayer, like a confession, like the answer to a question he'd been afraid to ask. He couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't seem to find words for what he was seeing. Neither could she. Kong Min stood frozen for another heartbeat, then seemed to remember himself. He moved toward her, each step deliberate, controlled. But his eyes, God, his eyes betrayed everything his body tried to hide. You look. He stopped inches away, close enough that she could see the rapid pulse at his throat. I don't have words. Doris felt heat climb up her neck despite the December cold. The dress you sent is beautiful. It's not the dress. His voice dropped lower, intimate. It's you. Before she could process that, he offered his hand. She took it, his palm warm against her frozen fingers, and he helped her into the car. The leather seat was heated, luxury she'd never experienced in all her years working for him. Kong Min slid in beside her. Too close. Not close enough. The driver shut the door, sealing them in together. The car pulled away from the curb, gliding into traffic. Snow swirled past the tinted windows, turning the city into something magical and unreal. Doris was hyper-aware of everything. The subtle cologne he wore, the way his knee almost touched hers, the tension radiating from him. "You changed your mind about coming," he said suddenly. "Twice. I could tell from your texts." She shouldn't be surprised he'd noticed. Kong Min noticed everything. "I was scared. Of my family? Of this." She gestured between them. "Whatever this is." The car turned a corner, and her body swayed toward his. Their shoulders brushed. Electricity shot through her at the contact. When she glanced up, Kong Min was staring out the window, jaw clenched like he was fighting for control. "Are you nervous?" she asked, echoing her text from the night before. "About the party?" "No." He finally looked at her, and the intensity in his gaze stole her breath. "About you sitting next to me in that dress, smelling like jasmine and vanilla, looking like every fantasy I've spent 3 years pretending I don't have." "Yes." Doris forgot how to breathe. "I shouldn't have said that," he continued, but didn't look away. "That was inappropriate. You work for me. There's a power dynamic. I promised myself I wouldn't." Kong Min. His name stopped his spiral. "Why did you really ask me tonight?" Traffic lights painted his face in alternating colors, red, green, amber. Each shade revealed something different. Vulnerability, desire, fear. "Because I'm tired of pretending you don't matter," he said quietly. "I'm tired of treating you like you're invisible when you're the only person I see clearly. And because tonight, I need someone real beside me. Everyone at that estate plays games. You're the only one who doesn't." The car glided through the city's outskirts now, heading toward the exclusive area where the Sterling estate sprawled across acres of carefully maintained property. Trees thickened on either side of the road, their branches heavy with snow. "Tell me about your family," Doris said, needing to break the charged silence. Kong Min's expression hardened. "My mother is calculating. She sees everything as a chess move. My father died when I was 19, you knew that. Since then, she's been obsessed with maintaining the family's position." "And your brother?" "James." Something complicated crossed his face. "He's younger by 3 years. Smart. Ambitious. We're complicated. You don't trust him." "I don't trust anyone." He paused. "Except you." That admission hung between them, heavy with implications. Doris watched snow blur past the window, trying to understand how she'd become the exception to Kong Min's carefully constructed walls. The car turned onto a private road. Wrought iron gates loomed ahead, decorated with lights that glittered against the falling snow. Security waved them through without stopping. "One more thing," Kong Min said as the estate came into view. "Julia will be there." Doris's stomach dropped. "Your ex-fiancé? The one who left me 3 weeks before our wedding?" "Yes." His voice had gone flat, emotionless. "Mother invited her. Some twisted idea about reconciliation." "That's cruel." "That's my mother." He shifted, and suddenly his hand covered hers on the seat between them. "I don't want Julia. Haven't wanted her since she walked away. I need you to know that." His thumb brushed across her knuckles, a gesture so tender it made her chest ache. Doris turned her hand over, lacing their fingers together. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Julia will try to get in your head. She'll say things designed to make you doubt yourself, doubt me. And I need you to know before we walk in there." He squeezed her hand. "You're not a shield. You're not a prop. Tonight, you're mine. If you want to be." The car stopped in front of the mansion. Light blazed from every window, warm and inviting and completely deceptive. This was the heart of Kong Min's empire. Behind that beautiful facade, deals were made, rivals destroyed, power consolidated. "I'm terrified," Doris whispered. "Good. So am I." Kong Min brought her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that made her entire body ignite. "Being terrified means it matters. Now let's go show them what they've been too blind to see for 3 years." The driver opened Doris's door. Cold air rushed in, along with the sound of music and laughter from inside the estate. She stepped out onto the stone driveway, her heels clicking against wet pavement. Kong Min appeared at her side, offering his arm. She took it, feeling the solid strength of him beneath the expensive fabric. "Ready?" he murmured. No, she wasn't ready, but she nodded anyway. Together, they walked toward the mansion's entrance, toward his family, toward danger she couldn't yet see but could feel in her bones. Someone watched them approach from a second-floor window. Doris caught the movement, looked up. The curtain fell back into place. Her skin prickled with unease. But Kong Min was already guiding her forward, through the massive front doors, into the glittering heart of the Mafia's most powerful family. Into a trap she didn't know had been set. The Sterling estate interior stole Doris's breath, and not in a good way. Crystal chandeliers dripped from vaulted ceilings like frozen tears. Marble floors stretched endlessly, polished to mirror brightness. Every surface screamed wealth, but the kind that came with blood on the balance sheets. Doris had processed enough of Kong Min's alternative revenue streams to know exactly how this palace had been built. Conversations stopped as they entered. Every head turned. Every eye locked onto her. Doris felt the weight of their stares like physical pressure against her skin. She'd spent 3 years being invisible. This was the opposite. This was being dissected by predators deciding if she was prey. Kong Min's hand settled on her lower back, possessive and protective. "Breathe," he whispered. "They can smell fear." A woman detached from a cluster near the fireplace. Tall, elegant, with Kong Min's eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. His mother. Darling. She air-kissed both of Kong Min's cheeks, her gaze sliding to Doris like a blade. "And this must be the assistant." "Doris Hickman," Kong Min said, his voice carrying an edge Doris recognized from business negotiations. "My date for the evening." How unexpected. His mother's assessment was surgical. She took in the red dress, the styling, every detail with the precision of someone who'd spent decades reading people for weaknesses. "I'm Margaret Sterling. I trust my son has briefed you on proper etiquette." "Mother," Kong Min warned. "It's fine." Doris extended her hand, keeping her voice steady. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Sterling. Your home is beautiful." Margaret's handshake was brief, cold. "Indeed. Do try not to spill anything on the carpets. They're imported Persian silk. Irreplaceable." The message was clear. You're replaceable. Everything here is worth more than you. Before Doris could respond, a younger man approached. Same sharp features as Kong Min, but softer somehow. Less dangerous. This had to be James. The mysterious Doris. James smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes either. Apparently, that was a family trait. "I've heard so much about you." "Well, actually, I've heard nothing, which in this family means you're either boring or important. I'm betting on the latter." "James." Kong Min's tone held warning. "Relax, brother. I'm being friendly." James's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, jaw tightening for a fraction of a second before the smile returned. "Excuse me. Business never sleeps, even on Christmas." He disappeared into the crowd. First time that night, but Doris had a feeling it wouldn't be the last. "Come," Margaret commanded. "There are people you should meet. If you're going to be seen with my son, you need to understand the landscape." The next hour was a masterclass in high-stakes social warfare. Margaret paraded Doris through the room like a curiosity, introducing her to associates whose smiles were weapons and whose handshakes felt like threats. Doris recognized some names from Kong Min's files. Heads of other families, politicians on various payrolls, lawyers who specialized in making problems disappear. Everyone assessed her. Everyone judged her. And everyone seemed to be waiting for her to fail some unspoken test. Kong Min stayed close, his presence a constant anchor. But she could feel the tension radiating from him, see the muscle ticking in his jaw. This wasn't just a party. This was a performance, and they were both on stage. "Mr. Chun," Margaret cooed to an elderly man whose eyes were sharp as broken glass. "This is Doris, Kong Min's companion for the evening." Chen's gaze raked over her. "Pretty thing. Tell me, Ms. Hickman, what exactly do you do for young Mr. Sterling?" The question was loaded with insinuation. Doris felt Kong Min tense beside her. "I manage his schedule, coordinate his meetings, and handle sensitive communications," she said evenly. "I've been his executive assistant for 3 years." "Is that what they're calling it now?" Chun chuckled, the sound like stones grinding together. "Mr. Chun." Kong Min's voice had gone arctic. "I believe your grandson is looking for you." Something about the Jinhai shipment. Chen's amusement vanished. He nodded curtly and moved away. Margaret's lips pressed into a thin line before she too drifted off, leaving them momentarily alone in a sea of dangerous people. "I'm sorry," Kong Min murmured. "They're testing you. Testing us. I can handle it." But Doris's hands trembled slightly. She clasped them together to hide it. That's when she saw her. Julia Hart-Payton stood across the room in a champagne-colored dress that probably cost more than Doris's car. Blonde, beautiful, and watching them with the focused intensity of a snake eyeing a mouse. Even from 20 feet away, Doris could feel the animosity rolling off her in waves. She's staring at us, Doris whispered. Let her stare. Kong Min's hand found hers again, squeezing gently. She made her choice 3 years ago. I've made mine tonight. But Julia was already moving toward them, cutting through the crowd with practiced grace. Her smile was bright, brittle, and utterly fake. Kong Min, darling. Julia's voice was honey laced with arsenic. It's been too long. Not long enough. His response was flat, emotionless. Julia's eyes finally landed on Doris. And you must be the assistant everyone's whispering about. How quaint. I'm Julia Hart Payton. Former fiancé, family friend, and apparently tonight's cautionary tale. Doris Hickman. She refused to be intimidated. Current date, trusted colleague, and apparently tonight's mystery guest. Something flickered in Julia's eyes. Respect? Anger? Both. Oh, I like her. She's got more spine than the last 3 girls you've been photographed with. Julia leaned closer, her perfume overwhelming. Tell me, Doris, has he told you why I left him 3 weeks before our wedding? Kong Min's entire body went rigid. Julia, don't. Don't what? Tell her the truth. Julia's smile sharpened. That you were under federal investigation even then? That the FBI had been building a case against your family's operations for 2 years? That I walked away because I wasn't interested in being a mob wife in an orange jumpsuit. The words hit Doris like physical blows. Federal investigation. FBI. The room tilted sideways. Doris felt the blood drain from her face. Federal investigation. The words echoed in her skull, bouncing off every memory of the past 3 years. Every late-night meeting. Every encrypted file. Every conversation she transcribed without asking questions. That's enough. Kong Min's voice could have cut steel. Is it? Julia tilted her head, false sympathy dripping from every word. Because Doris deserves to know what she's walked into. The feds are circling, darling. Have been for months now. And everyone associated with Kong Min becomes a person of interest. Everyone. The room suddenly felt too hot, too crowded. Doris could feel people watching, listening. This was exactly what Julia wanted. A scene, a spectacle. Proof that Kong Min's new date couldn't handle the pressure. Excuse me. Doris pulled away from Kong Min's touch. I need some air. She didn't wait for permission. Didn't look back to see the triumph in Julia's eyes or the devastation in Kong Min's. Her heels clicked rapidly across marble as she headed toward the French doors leading to the terrace. Cold December air hit her like a slap. Doris gripped the stone balustrade, gulping down oxygen, trying to slow her racing heart. Snow continued to fall, peaceful and oblivious to the chaos inside. Federal investigation. How had she not known? How had she spent 3 years managing his calendar, screening his calls, organizing his files, and never suspected the FBI was watching? Because you didn't want to see it, a voice whispered in her mind. Because you were in love with him and love makes you blind. The French doors opened behind her. She knew without turning it was Kong Min. Doris. How long? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. How long have you known about the investigation? Silence stretched between them, filled only by the whisper of falling snow. 6 weeks, he finally said. 6 weeks. She spun to face him. 6 weeks. You've known for 6 weeks and you didn't tell me. I was trying to protect you. He moved closer, but she held up a hand, stopping him. The less you knew, the safer you'd be. Safer. Disbelief choked her. You brought me here tonight. To meet your family. To be seen by everyone in your world. How exactly does that keep me safe? Kong Min's expression cracked, revealing the desperation beneath. Because if they think you matter to me, they won't. He stopped, jaw clenching. I needed you here. I needed something real in this nightmare. So you used me. The words tasted like ash. I'm not real to you, Kong Min. I'm a prop. Just like your mother said. Just like Julia implied. That's not true. Isn't it? Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not now. For 3 years, I've been invisible. Tonight, you made me visible. But not because you actually see me. Because you needed a shield. Someone trustworthy and naive enough to not ask questions. Doris, please. What happens when the FBI comes for me? Her voice rose despite her efforts to control it. What happens when they want to know what I've seen, what I've done, what I know? Do you have a lawyer ready for me too? Or am I just collateral damage? The devastation on his face would have broken her heart if her heart wasn't already shattering. I would never let anything happen to you, he said quietly. I'd burn my entire empire to the ground before I'd let them touch you. You don't get to make that choice for me. The words exploded out of her. You should have told me. You should have given me the option to walk away before. Her voice cracked. Before I fell for you. Kong Min went completely still. You what? Doris laughed, the sound bitter. You really are blind. 3 years, Kong Min. 3 years of watching you, learning you, caring about you while you looked right through me. And the one night you finally see me, it's because you need something. Not because I matter. Because I'm useful. That's not. He reached for her, but she stepped back. I can't do this. Doris wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly freezing despite the coat Kong Min had draped over her shoulders. I can't be here. I can't be part of whatever this is. Don't leave. Raw desperation filled his voice. Please, let me explain everything. Let me. Kong Min. James appeared in the doorway, phone in hand, face grim. We have a problem. The Kozlov delegation just arrived unannounced. Father's old rivals. Mother's losing her mind. Kong Min didn't look away from Doris. Tell them I'm busy. You don't understand. They're asking for you specifically. Something about territorial disputes and... James finally seemed to register the tension. Am I interrupting something? Yes. Kong Min and Doris said simultaneously. James's eyes widened. Right. Well, whenever you're done, Mother's going to have a stroke if you don't. His phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, and something strange crossed his face. Fear. Warning. It was gone too quickly to identify. Never mind. I'll handle it. He disappeared back inside, leaving them alone again in the falling snow. I have to deal with this, Kong Min said quietly. But Doris, this conversation isn't over. We're not over. We never started. She pulled his coat off, handing it back to him. The cold bit immediately, but she welcomed it. Anything to feel something other than this crushing betrayal. I'll call a car. You should go save your empire. Doris. Go. She couldn't look at him anymore. Please. Just go. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then she heard his footsteps retreating, the French doors closing, leaving her alone in the December night. Doris pulled out her phone with shaking hands, about to call for a ride. That's when she noticed someone had been filming them from a second-floor window. She caught the faint glow of a phone screen disappearing behind a curtain. Her blood ran cold. Someone had recorded their entire fight. Someone had documented everything. Doris stared at the darkened window where the phone's glow had vanished. Her mind raced through possibilities, each worse than the last. Who had been filming? What would they do with that footage? Her fight with Kong Min had been private, raw, filled with admissions that could destroy them both if leaked to the wrong people. Or the right people. Like the FBI. She needed to leave. Now. But as she turned toward the driveway, James reappeared, moving quickly across the terrace. His expression was urgent, almost panicked. Doris, we need to talk. Right now. I'm leaving. You can't. He grabbed her arm, not roughly but firmly. Not yet. Not until you understand what's happening. Something in his tone made her pause. This wasn't the casual, smirking James from earlier. This was someone genuinely afraid. Understand what? James glanced back at the house, then pulled her further into the shadows of the terrace. Snow dusted his dark hair, melting on his shoulders. You don't know me, but I've been watching you for 3 years. Watching how my brother looks at you when he thinks no one's paying attention. How you've become the only person he trusts in a world built on betrayals. Where is this going? Julia didn't show up tonight by accident. His words came fast, urgent. And that federal investigation? It's worse than Kong Min told you. Much worse. They have evidence. Dates, transactions, recordings. Someone's been feeding them information from inside the family. Doris felt the ground shift beneath her feet. A mole. I've been trying to figure out who for weeks. But tonight, watching everyone watch you. James's jaw clenched. You're in danger. Real danger. And I don't think my brother fully understands how much. Why are you telling me this? Because someone needs to protect you, and Kong Min's too blinded by whatever he feels for you to see the trap being set. James's phone buzzed again. He looked at it, and fear flashed across his face before he shoved it in his pocket. I have to go. But Doris, don't trust anyone here tonight. Not even. James. Margaret's voice cut through the night like a whip. Get in here. Now. He squeezed Doris's arm once more. Be careful, he whispered, then vanished back inside. Doris stood alone again, her mind spinning. A mole inside the family. Evidence being fed to the FBI. Someone filming her tonight. Nothing about this felt like a simple Christmas gathering anymore. This felt like a setup. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart stopped as she opened the message. A photograph loaded slowly, each line of pixels revealing her nightmare. It was her and Kong Min on the terrace. The angle from above captured everything. His desperate expression, her tears, the raw intimacy of their confrontation. Below the image, a single line of text. You have 48 hours before this goes public. Choose wisely. Doris's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. Someone had already sent it. Someone was threatening her. But why? What did they want? Another message appeared. Beautiful dress, by the way. Red suits you. Nausea rolled through her stomach. Whoever this was had been watching her specifically. Planning this. But for what purpose? She needed to tell Kong Min needed to show him this threat. But when she looked through the French doors, she saw him surrounded by men in expensive suits. The Kozlov delegation James had mentioned. His face was granite, his posture that of a man negotiating for his life. She couldn't interrupt that. Couldn't make this night worse. Instead, Doris finally called for a car. 15 minutes, the app said. She could survive 15 more minutes. She stayed in the shadows of the terrace, watching snow fall and trying to understand what game she'd been pulled into. Every few minutes, her phone buzzed with social media notifications. Apparently, people inside were already posting about the party, about the mysterious woman in red who'd arrived on Kong Min's arm. Who is she? Where did she come from? Is this his new girlfriend? Doris watched herself become visible in real time across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Photos from inside the party. Her standing with Kong Min, her talking to Margaret, her face tight with tension during Julia's confrontation. She hadn't even noticed people filming. But they had been. Everyone had been. Her Uber notification finally came. Driver arriving in 2 minutes. Doris took one last look at the Sterling estate. Warm light spilled from every window, illuminating the snow like something from a Christmas card. Beautiful and completely false. Behind that lovely facade was rot, danger, federal investigations, and someone who'd just threatened her. The car pulled up, a normal sedan that felt absurdly mundane after the evening's luxury. She slid into the back seat, giving the driver her address. "Rough night?" he asked, catching her expression in the rearview mirror. "You have no idea." As they pulled away from the estate, Doris looked back one last time. A figure stood at a second-floor window, watching her leave. Too far to identify, but she felt their gaze like a physical touch. Whoever had sent those messages. Whoever had filmed her. They were still there, still watching, still waiting. 48 hours before this goes public. What happened in 48 hours? What would they do with that photograph? And more importantly, what did they want from her? Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Kong Min. "Where are you?" She stared at the message for a long moment. Then, fingers trembling, she typed back. "Going home. I'm sorry. I can't do this." His response was immediate. "Doris, please. Don't leave like this. Let me explain everything." But she was already halfway across the city, putting distance between herself and the Sterling estate. Between herself and the man she'd fallen for. Between herself and whatever trap had been set for her. "I need time," she finally sent. "I need to think." "I understand," came his reply. "But know this. Whatever happens next, I won't let anyone hurt you. I promise." Promises from a man under federal investigation. Promises from a mafia boss. Promises that might be worthless in 48 hours. Doris closed her eyes and let the car carry her home, unaware that her nightmare was only beginning. Doris's apartment felt wrong the moment she unlocked the door. Nothing obvious. The lock hadn't been forced. No broken windows. But 3 years of working in Kong Min's world had taught her to trust her instincts, and every instinct screamed danger. She flipped on the lights. Everything looked normal. Her couch in the same position. Books stacked on the coffee table exactly as she'd left them. Kitchen clean, bedroom door slightly ajar like always. But something felt off. The air itself seemed disturbed, like someone had recently moved through it. Doris pulled out her phone, finger hovering over Kong Min's number. But what would she say? "I think someone broke in, but nothing's missing?" After the way she'd left him tonight, after that fight on the terrace, she couldn't face him. She moved through her apartment slowly, checking every room. Bathroom clear. Kitchen untouched. Living room. Nothing out of place. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe the stress of the night had her imagining threats everywhere. Then she opened her bedroom door. Her blood turned to ice. On her bed, folded with precise care, was a red dress. Identical to the one she was wearing. Same crimson silk. Same elegant cut. Same everything. But it wasn't the dress that made her legs nearly give out. It was the note pinned to the fabric, written in elegant script. You looked beautiful tonight. See you soon. Doris backed out of the room, her breath coming in short gasps. Someone had been in her apartment. Someone had left this. Someone had been close enough to touch her things, to leave a message on her bed. Someone was watching her. Her phone buzzed, and she nearly screamed. But it was just Jasmine. Girl, you're everywhere. My phone is blowing up with people sending me photos of you at some fancy party. What happened? Are you okay? Doris's hands shook as she typed back. Can you come over? Now. Please. On my way. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Doris sat on her couch, staring at her bedroom door, the red dress visible through the opening. She didn't touch it, didn't go near it, just waited. When Jasmine's knock finally came, Doris practically yanked her inside. Whoa, what's? Jasmine stopped, taking in Doris's expression. What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. Someone broke into my apartment. Doris's voice sounded distant, disconnected. While I was at the party. They left something. She led Jasmine to the bedroom. Her friend went silent when she saw the dress and note. Holy shit, Jasmine breathed. Doris, we need to call the police. And tell them what? That someone broke in but didn't steal anything? That they left an expensive dress as a gift? Doris laughed, the sound verging on hysteria. They'll think I'm crazy. This isn't normal. This is stalking. This is. Jasmine pulled out her phone. I'm calling them anyway. But before she could dial, Doris's phone lit up. Another message from the unknown number. The police can't help you. But I can. Check your email. Doris's hands trembled as she opened her email app. One new message, from an anonymous account. No subject line. Just an attachment. She clicked it. A video file loaded. The timestamp showed earlier tonight. The angle was from inside the Sterling estate, somewhere near the entrance. It showed Doris arriving in the red dress, showed Kong Min's reaction, captured the moment they'd entered together. But it also showed something else. In the background, partially hidden behind a column, Julia had been on her phone. And the video had audio. Doris turned up the volume. Julia's voice, slightly muffled but clear enough. Delivered the files to your contact. Everything about the offshore accounts, the shipping manifests, all of it. The feds will have enough to move within the week. Someone responded, too quiet to hear. Then Julia again. I don't care about Kong Min. I want him destroyed. And if his little assistant gets caught in the crossfire? Even better. The video ended. Doris stared at her screen, mind reeling. Julia had been feeding information to the FBI. Julia was the mole. And she'd specifically mentioned targeting Doris. That bitch, Jasmine hissed. She's setting you up. Another message came through. Now you understand. Julia wants you destroyed along with Kong Min. She thinks if she can make you look complicit, the feds will protect her in exchange for testimony. You have 48 hours before she delivers the final evidence, including photos of you at the party tonight, making it look like you've been part of his operation all along. Who are you? Doris typed back with shaking fingers. Someone who doesn't want to see you burn for Kong Min's sins. Someone who's been watching this family destroy people for too long. The dress was a message. I can get to you anytime. But I'm not your enemy. I'm your warning. Before Doris could respond, her phone rang. Kong Min. She almost didn't answer. But something in her needed to hear his voice, even after everything. She nodded, too shocked to speak. I'm going to fix this, he promised. Whatever it takes. I won't let them destroy you for my mistakes. But as Doris watched the news coverage continue, saw her face plastered across every channel, she wondered if fixing this was even possible anymore. The trap had already sprung, and they were both caught in it. By Monday morning, Doris's life had completely collapsed. She'd been placed on immediate administrative leave from Sterling Industries. Her picture dominated every news site, every social media feed. Speculation ran wild. Was she Kong Min's girlfriend? His accomplice? Both. The worst part, the comments section. She knew what she was getting into. Gold digger got caught. Another woman thinking she could change a criminal. Doris sat in her apartment, curtains drawn, phone turned off except for calls from her lawyer. The woman, sharp, expensive, recommended by Kong Min, had been clear. Say nothing, do nothing, wait. But waiting felt like drowning in slow motion. A knock at her door made her jump. She checked the peephole. Jasmine, holding coffee and what looked like breakfast sandwiches. I know you're in there, Jasmine called. And I know you're not eating. Open up. Doris unlocked the door. Jasmine swept in, took one look at her, and immediately pulled her into a hug. It's going to be okay, Jasmine murmured. How? How is any of this going to be okay? Doris's voice cracked. I'm about to lose everything. My career, my reputation, maybe my freedom. All because I fell for the wrong man. He's not. Jasmine stopped, reconsidering. Okay, maybe he is the wrong man. But Doris, you didn't do anything illegal. The truth will come out. Would it? Doris wasn't sure anymore. In Kong Min's world, truth was negotiable. Reality was whatever story people chose to believe. Her emergency phone. The one only her lawyer and Kong Min had the number to buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Not again. But this message was different. Meet me at Fletcher Park in 1 hour. Come alone. This is about James. A friend. James. Doris read it aloud. Kong Min's brother? She hadn't seen James since the party. Since his cryptic warning about danger and not trusting anyone. What did he have to do with any of this? This could be a trap, Jasmine warned. Everything's a trap at this point. Doris grabbed her coat. But if there's even a chance someone has information that could help, I have to take it. Then I'm coming with you. The message said alone. And I said I'm coming. Jasmine's expression brooked no argument. You're not facing this by yourself anymore. Fletcher Park was nearly empty on a cold Monday morning. Dead leaves scattered across frozen grass. Doris and Jasmine sat on a bench near the duck pond, breath misting in the December air. A figure approached from the tree line. Male, tall, wearing a heavy coat with the hood up. As he got closer, Doris recognized him. James Sterling. But he looked nothing like the smooth, confident man from the party. His face was haggard, eyes darting nervously. He sat on the bench beside them, not making eye contact. You shouldn't have brought someone, he said quietly. She stays, Doris replied. What's this about? I'm the one who's been sending you messages. James finally looked at her. The warnings. The video of Julia. All of it. Doris's breath caught. You broke into my apartment? You left that dress. No, that wasn't me. Fear flickered across his face. Someone else is playing this game. Someone I haven't identified yet. But Doris, you need to understand. I've been trying to protect you from the beginning. By terrifying me? By warning you. His hands clenched in his lap. I've been working with the FBI for 6 months. Not to take down my brother. To take down Julia and the people she's working with. The world tilted again. You're FBI? Not FBI. Cooperating witness. James glanced around nervously. Julia isn't working alone. She's connected to the Kozlov family, our father's old rivals. They've been trying to destroy Kong Min's operation for years. The federal investigation is real, but Julia's been feeding them doctored evidence, fake documents, trying to frame both Kong Min and you. Why me? Because you're his weakness. James's voice dropped. She figured out that my brother loves you. And if she can use you to break him, she wins everything. His empire, his reputation, his freedom. Loves you. The words echoed in Doris's head. If you're trying to help, why not tell Kong Min? Jasmine interjected. Because he wouldn't believe me. We haven't trusted each other in years. Pain crossed James's expression. Our father pitted us against each other growing up. By the time he died, the damage was done. Kong Min thinks I want his throne. He doesn't know I've spent the last year trying to save him from himself. James pulled an envelope from his coat. This is everything. Proof that Julia's been working with the Kozlovs. Proof that the evidence against you is fabricated. Bank records showing payments from Kozlov accounts to Julia. Communications between her and their organization. Doris took the envelope with shaking hands. Why give this to me? Because you're the only person Kong Min will believe right now. Show him this. Make him understand that Julia's playing a bigger game than he realizes. James stood, pulling his hood back up. My FBI contact is Agent Rachel Morrison. She's one of the good ones. She knows the evidence against you is bullshit. But she needs proof before she can act. Wait. Doris stood too. The person who broke into my apartment. Who left the dress. If it wasn't you, then who? James's expression darkened. That's what terrifies me. Because there's someone else in this game. Someone who's been watching all of us. And I think, he stopped, phone buzzing in his pocket. He looked at it and went pale. I have to go. Be careful, Doris. Trust Kong Min. He's made mistakes, but he loves you. And that's the one real thing in all of this. He disappeared back into the trees, moving quickly. Jasmine squeezed Doris's arm. Well, that was something. Doris looked down at the envelope in her hands. Inside was either salvation or another trap. With these people, it was impossible to tell which. Her emergency phone buzzed again. This time it was Kong Min. Can I see you? Please. I need to tell you something. Something I should have said years ago. Her heart hammered as she typed back, my apartment. 1 hour. I have something to show you too. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. Or they would fall together. Either way, the time for secrets was over. Kong Min arrived exactly 1 hour later, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Doris opened the door, and for a moment they just stood there, taking each other in. All the chaos, all the betrayal, all the fear. It hung between them like a living thing. Come in, she said quietly. He entered, his presence filling her small apartment the way it always did. But this time felt different. Heavier. Like they both knew this conversation would change everything. I love you, Kong Min said before she could speak. I should have said it 3 years ago. Should have said it the first time you brought me coffee, and actually remembered I take it black with 1 sugar. Should have said it every day since. But I was afraid. Afraid that loving you would put you in danger. Afraid that you'd see who I really am and run. Afraid that. Kong Min. Doris stopped his spiral. I love you too. I've loved you for so long I can't remember when it started. But love isn't enough anymore. We need truth. She handed him the envelope James had given her. He opened it slowly, scanning the documents inside. With each page, his expression shifted, shock, rage, understanding, devastation. When he finished, he set the papers down carefully, like they might explode. James, he whispered. My brother's been protecting us this whole time. He's been working with the FBI. Not against you, against Julia and the Kozlovs. Kong Min's laugh was bitter. I've spent years thinking he wanted to destroy me. Turns out he's been trying to save me. He looked up at Doris, eyes bright with unshed tears. I've been so blind. We both have been. Doris sat beside him on the couch. But now we know the truth. Julia's been working with your father's enemies. The evidence against us is fabricated. We can fight this. We can. He took her hand, threading their fingers together. My lawyer's already working on it. By tomorrow, we'll have filed motions to dismiss. We'll expose Julia's connections to the Kozlovs. We'll clear your name. And yours. His smile was sad. Mine is a different story. I've done things, Doris. Real things. Things I can't take back. But you're innocent. And I'll burn everything I've built before I let them punish you for my sins. Before Doris could respond, her emergency phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. The one that wasn't James. Beautiful reunion. But you're missing the best part. Check your front door. Dread coiled in Doris's stomach. Kong Min was already moving, pulling her behind him as he approached the door. He checked the peephole, then slowly opened it. Nothing. Just an empty hallway. But on her doormat sat a small box, wrapped in red paper. Kong Min picked it up carefully, bringing it inside. They stared at it for a long moment before Doris slowly unwrapped it. Inside was a photograph. The same one from the threatening message. Her and Kong Min on the terrace, their argument captured in intimate detail. But this print had something extra. Written across the bottom in the same elegant script as the note on the dress. You thought Julia was the threat. You haven't even met the real enemy yet. Beneath the photo was another image. A picture of Doris taken that very morning, walking through Fletcher Park with Jasmine, which meant whoever this was had been following her, watching her meet with James, documenting everything. They were there, Doris breathed. At the park, they saw James give me the evidence. Kong Min pulled out his phone, fingers flying across the screen. I'm calling my security team. We need to find out who. His phone rang before he could dial. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Hello, Kong Min. The voice was distorted, electronically altered. And hello, Doris. You're both so predictable. Did you really think James was trying to help you? Who is this? Kong Min's voice was deadly calm. Someone who's been watching your family destroy itself for years. someone who's enjoyed every minute of it. A pause. Julia was easy to manipulate. Feed her money, stroke her ego, convince her she was the mastermind. But she was just a pawn. They all were. What do you want? Doris asked. I want you to understand something. The voice took on an edge. That red dress you wore? I chose it. Had it delivered to Kong Min's designer with specific instructions. I knew exactly how he'd react when he saw you in it. I orchestrated everything. The party, the confrontation with Julia, even James's little revelation today. You've been dancing to my music this entire time. Kong Min's hand tightened around Doris's. Who are you? You'll find out soon enough. But first, I want you to watch everything you've built crumble. Your empire, your reputation, your freedom. And Doris, the voice softened mockingly. I want you to know that every moment you thought you were invisible, I was watching. Every coffee you brought him. Every longing look you thought no one noticed. I saw it all. The line went dead. Doris felt her legs give out. Kong Min caught her, holding her against him as the full horror of it sank in. Someone had been orchestrating everything from the beginning. Julia, the investigation, even their relationship. All of it manipulated by an enemy they couldn't see. We'll find them, Kong Min promised against her hair. Whoever this is, whatever they want, we'll find them and end this. But as Doris clung to him in her living room, surrounded by evidence of someone's twisted game, she wondered if they were already too late. Somewhere in the city, someone was watching. Someone who'd been watching for years. Someone who knew all their secrets, all their weaknesses. Someone who had been there from the very beginning, hidden in plain sight. And the most terrifying part? Doris had a horrible feeling she'd met them before. That they'd been close all along. She just didn't know who they were yet. 2 years later, Doris stood at Kong Min's side as co-ruler of an empire rebuilt from ashes. Julia was in prison. The investigation had cleared them both. But some nights, she still thought about that red dress folded on her bed, the note that said, "See you soon." Because whoever had been watching them that night, the real enemy, had never been found. And Doris had learned that in Kong Min's world, some threats don't announce themselves. They just wait in the shadows, patient and invisible, until the perfect moment to strike again.